Well, hello, friends, and welcome to another edition of Who's Number One, the show, the very best show on planet Earth. And it's a very special show because who do we have? But the father himself, Jon Kozak. Welcome to the show. John.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I think I made a little cameo on one episode, maybe over a year and a half ago, before I even started full time.
Oh, this was when you were just you were a guy that liked to keep us honest, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
We all knew you from your avatar picture of you running, doing like a marathon.
Okay.
So we thought you were a very tall, skinny guy that ran a lot.
And I'm just the short, stocky guy.
you're a little wrestler guy.
Yeah.
You're a little wrestler guy.
Yeah.
And then you've been working your way into the rankings world ever since, basically.
Yeah. Started with the international, and now you've graciously passed the baton on to college wrestling, and so
I like to think of the torch that is illuminating the world with knowledge of college wrestling.
Yeah.
So maybe a little backstory of the college wrestling rankings. I think CP had done them forever, and CP was basically a message board warrior back when message boards were a much bigger deal. We all remember those days. The early 2010s was maybe their heyday.
Yeah.
A little before that too. And so he was always keeping everybody at Flow honest and saying X, Y, Z. And then it's like, okay, you think you can do better? There you go. You get to do the rankings now. And then from Churchville, Virginia, and then to Austin, Texas, he was still the college ranker. And then I was doing a lot of message board posting, doing a lot of tweeting, and a lot of like, whoa, why would you rank this guy like that? Very, I would say, cordial.
Yeah.
In the back and forth in the dialogue. Because if someone comes at you just by saying, like, you're an idiot and these suck, granted, that's part of the conversation. That's part of the engagement that's going to happen with them no matter what. But you're probably not going to then, take time out of your day to go, well, thank you for letting me know that I suck. Maybe this would change your mind. I actually ranked them this way because X, Y, Z.
Right.
So got to know the guys at Flow and CP through Twitter, and then applied, got the job here, and then it was okay, Mr. Ranker, this is a big job here, or Mr. Know-It-All. Like, why don't you start doing the rankings? And it was I think the first year in 2017, the 17-18 season, because they came on board officially right at the 2017 NCAAs. So that next season, I was basically doing all of the. Like, the final rankings were mostly all CP, but, like, putting the results in and getting everything organized.
All the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, shouts to Seton Hall Pirate for all the work that he does. And a lot of people don't know this, but there's a guy that lives in Florida that, like, 90% of all wrestling ranking output is due to is underpinned. I guess it would happen otherwise, but it makes it a lot more efficient.
Yeah, he compiles and sends out all the weekly results in a very timely manner.
Yes, Brett Malinsky, we cheers to you. Cheers our yerba mates, which I got for you today, John.
There you go.
There we go.
We got a drink now, right?
I take a big sip. That's refreshing. So then the next year it was kind of like, all right, CP's busy. Why don't you just do them?
Yeah.
So long story short, that's how I got into rankings for the last 4 or 5 years, doing them for the college. Then after CP completely, stepped away from any rankings things, I think I did them totally solo for a year. And that was not so much fun. Then JD came on board. He's been helping out since I think maybe the 1920
year.
Yeah. And then this year, it's been, I don't know, as things change, you do them for 4 or 5 years and it's quite a long time to do them. And you've been kicking so much butt on international rankings, and you're a machine, a thoroughbred when it comes to content production. And so I was happy that you were interested and willing to take up that incredibly important task.
Yeah, it's been fun. We're only in week 5, and we haven't, like, this weekend we're gonna probably talk a little bit of Cliff Keen, but there hasn't been crazy weekends. But you see all the work that goes into it, and then all the results, and you kind of get into the weeds and some of the weights, and it's like, man, how are we gonna sort this stuff out? You get the big upsets that happen, so it's a lot of fun. And the big things that happen, but then even just like getting to know the rosters better and getting to know all like the not so big things, right?
Yes.
It's like, you get to really know the full landscape of college wrestling doing rankings. So I've appreciated that, and then just kind of seeing how much work it goes into. So it's been fun so far this year.
Then you will basically acquire a superpower that you can use at parties where people that know fantasy football or baseball will know every roster in the pros. A couple people deep, and then you can say, name a college that has a wrestling team, and I'll tell you like half their starters and what they did the last month or so.
There you go.
I like your point about how much work it is, or I'm glad you brought that up, because it's kind of like I liken it to painting a work of modern art. How do you know when you're done? So a lot of the modern, if you're painting a landscape or a portrait, right? It's like when this looks like a guy, if I'm painting you, when it looks pretty close to you, it's like, okay, I finished painting my portrait of Jon Kozak. But if you're just making abstract modern art, okay, well, you get to where you think it's done. It's like, actually, it would be improved if I started doing some other things or change something or whatever. So, how do you know you're done? It could go through 1,000 iterations. It could, blah, blah, blah. It all just depends on when you decide that you have done enough work on this painting, on this work of art. And that's the way the rankings are, because when you go 33 deep, and that's why we have honorable mentions, is to keep us sane. You go 1 through 24, there's so many people that have those, we call them rankers the lights, but those circular wins. A beats B, B beats C, C beats A. And so everybody is beating each other. Well, how do you differentiate them? Then you got to go to the next level, and then you got to go find more and more results. And, it starts at the top. You want to get 1 through 8 or 1 through 10 or whatever as good as you can, and then you kind of base it off that, who's got the most top 10 wins or whatever. But the further down the list you go, the more complicated it gets, and the harder it is to be 100% certain that you have it right.
Yeah.
And, that deadline is coming up. You want to get them done by Tuesday morning, and, the wrestling's not done until Sunday night, so you got 24 hours. The clock starts ticking. And you got to get through all 10 weights, plus pound for pound, plus you got to do the uploading, you got to do the team race calculations, all of which is to say there are certain things, it's just impossible to put the same amount of work and attention to every ranking as you do, across the board. So that's my analogy, long-winded way of explaining kind of the process for people that are interested in how things are done, how the sausage is made.
Yeah.
And now you're in the thick of it.
Yeah. I'm gonna think of it, and I've one of the other things I've really appreciated is just people reaching out via email, and I don't say that in a joking way. That you do get the whatever angry ones every now and then, but then because there is so much work, you do miss something here or there, and so I think JD and we made a change based off of an email last week where it's like, oh yeah, we may have overlooked that. This person's got a great point, so. If you're listening and you want to reach out, it's a great way to help us, and we do appreciate it.
Yeah, we are but mortals, so there will be things that you miss from time to time, and so that's why I think we have some of the most open and transparent rankings in the game. There's an explanation with every weight class that takes some time to write.
Yep.
And there's the request for feedback from everyone, and then you catch more flies with honey than vinegar or whatever. So if you write a well-reasoned response or email, and you do get those, and it's almost like, wow, this is so much better.
Yeah.
it's such a breath of fresh air when you get a nice well-reasoned email about the rankings, and sometimes you go, yep, that needs to be changed, and sometimes it's, well, we're already a couple days into it, we're not going to make a change on Friday when wrestling's starting,
right?
But if you catch it early enough on Tuesday, maybe you make a change, otherwise it goes till next week, and all part of the process.
And who knows, 5 years from now you could be sitting right next to us. That's how we got our start. Friendly emails, friendly DMs, and friendly Twitter posts.
Yeah, all you got to do is, our job's better than us.
Yeah. That's right.
And you're hired.
There you go.
Yeah. And shouts to Kozak's Mr. Muffler.
That's right.
I got to turn around.
If you're in the Metro Detroit area, north of Detroit, Kozak's Mr. Muffler will hook you up.
Yeah.
Not just mufflers, all your auto service needs.
And maybe one day we get some swag with on the front. A logo on the front. Yeah. But that's okay. I don't mind spinning around, do a little modeling. Yeah. All right. So John is here.
Yeah.
Hopefully become a regular here on Who's Number One. I'll keep hosting, but maybe it turns into something new, and there's other people here, but you're doing the NCAA rankings, so is JD. Bray's still on high school. International is still your purview. And then, it never ends. So we got the conference rankings as well. We have women's rankings on the site, high school and college. We got someone doing now the women's college pound for pound rankings.
Okay.
Which I think are really good. And that's how it starts. That's how you get people sucked in. The rankings are the most powerful piece of information where you can convey more information with as small amount of information or a small amount of characters as possible. You got a name, you got their school, and you got where they are in the weight class.
Yeah.
Very, very good stuff.
Very good. Very good.
All right, so you're ready to defend Week 4's rankings?
Absolutely.
Not really a defense.
I'm ready, yeah.
But you're ready anyway.
Defense. Yep.
So we start at 125. Not a ton of movement in the last week or so.
Yeah.
But talk about the landscape that we have there. Spencer Lee's still in there. How long are we keeping Spence in there?
Yeah, that's the real question. He's not listed in the probables for this weekend against Iowa State. I think you give him a couple more weeks, kind of see what happens. I think we know he's got to wrestle this year, so we kind of know he's going to be in there. So it would seem a little disingenuous to take him out and then to put him back in. But another important thing to note about these rankings, if you're looking at the site, there's not a ton of changes. That's also because we made a change last week after the All-Star Classic as well. So we did like 2 rankings updates where we took the All-Star into account. And then there wasn't a whole lot of movement going on with the Thanksgiving weekend and, not too much wrestling.
Yeah, it's really CKLV is like the table setter. So you have your pre-season rankings, which are just last year's. The NCAAs have the most weight, and then you have some cool dual meets, some cool events. Journeyman always has an early event. This year there were some good dual meet competitions at some neutral places. But then CKLV is when you get, and this year is no exception, and maybe even more than usual. You get a dozen ranked guys, at least. Or something like that, and then it all mixes up. So I'm excited. Mike DiAgostino from Northwestern is registered for CKLV. Ranked number 4. Haven't seen a ton of him. I don't know if we've seen any of him.
Yeah, he may have wrestled once. Haven't seen much of him. And we were talking. We're probably not going to dive too deep into CKLV talk. We're talking on FRL this morning, but we really feel like 125 is a kind of a wide open weight. Maybe the lower 4 through 15, even you got Ethan Bergen down there at number 20.
Tough kid.
Who beat Brandon Kaler.
Silent C.
Yeah. So, really the landscape here, you feel good about Spencer Lee and Pat Glory up at the top, and even, Patrick McKee. But after that, Brandon Courtney's been out. So Richie Figueroa has been wrestling really good in his place.
He has 3 ranked wins or three.
Yeah,
caliber?
Richie Figs. He's beaten
Shawver,
Shawver, and maybe one other win in there that I'm.
Here, we can pull up your notes. I got him right here.
Yeah, there you go.
Richie.
So Richie Figs is going to be at CKLV in place of Brandon Courtney, and so kind of the thought there is what happens if Figueroa keeps winning. Does he kind of earn himself, a spot in the varsity lineup?
Noah Certain, Dylan Shawver, Ryan Miller. 23, 16, and 14. So he's basically a top 10 guy or close to it right out of the gate.
Right there. And so Matt Ramos, he's another one where he's going to
move down from 133 where he wrestled last year. Cadet U17 gold medalist.
Yeah, so he's going to be at CKLV. I'm excited to watch him there, see how he does. If he comes away and wins Vegas over guys like D'Agostino,
Kaler, Heinzelman's in there.
Right, exactly. Then you think, all right, he's established himself as a clear All-American guy. It's good weight.
CKLV is great for mixing things up. And just in general about the weight class, you mentioned earlier, but you got guys Spencer Lee, Pat Glory, Brandon Courtney, and who am I missing? Killian Cardinale, all are All-Americans. We haven't seen a lot of them. 125 is a very tough weight class to make. I don't think anybody makes it easy.
Yeah.
You don't want to weigh in a ton of times a year, especially if you're an upperclassman. It's very, it's the weight class where guys famously win a couple and then they don't win their senior year, going back to McDonough, Delgado, probably missing some people. Nato won it as a freshman, and then I think he moved up to 133. But anyway, the point remains is you're an upperclassman making 125 12, 14 times a year. That's tough.
Not fun.
So it's not surprising that here in the fall, we've just now hit December. We may not see these guys for another month or so, but you leave them in because you don't want to give people whiplash. This is supposed to be a snapshot of where we are in the season. If you know these guys are coming back, if they say season-ending injury, which rarely you're going to hear that, but certainly you're not going to hear it prematurely. So if you do hear it, you take them out, of course. And we appreciate that information from coaches and folks and wrestlers themselves. But until then, you give them some slack. You don't just start taking guys in and out.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Any other thoughts on 25?
No, I think that covers it. I think we can move up to 33.
Let's go to 33.
Yep. 133. We got, of course, RBY and Fix at the top. But then, we had Lucas Bird beat McGee at the All-Star. So he jumps up after he lost to Jesse Mendez first weekend of the year. So that's a big win for him.
Yeah.
And
then
that
just showed how ready Mendez is. That was the whole trend of what we were all seeing with these high school kids.
Yeah.
They're college ready and can't get more college ready than that.
Yeah, and so again, CKLV, we're gonna see Vito, we're gonna see McGee, Ragusin, Cannon, Latona. I don't think we're gonna see Mendez there, but that group at Cliff Keen, I think, will really be a lot of fun to watch play out. I'm really interested into seeing what kind of Latona we have, because he took that early loss, but then he responds and beats Jesse Mendez, and then he won the Keystone over Kolioko. Looked really good there. I was there to watch him, and it's hard when you go and you see someone wrestle and like, wow, this guy looks really good.
They all look
beautiful.
Like, oh man, he's never losing another match.
Yeah, and Latona, I don't know how he ever made 125. He looks huge for 133. So coming out of there, it's like, wow, could Sam Latona beat Vito? I don't know. We'll see. No, I'm not picking that, but it makes it a really fun weight, and we'll know a lot more after this weekend for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited for Ragusin to get out there. He's just got a real good motor, and is just a super tough kid for a lightweight. Real wiry strength where you just know he's miserable to hand fight with.
Yeah.
Speaking of guys at the top, RBY, I think we'll see at the two duels, Lehigh versus Ryder and Penn State versus Ryder and
Lehigh,
Penn State versus Lehigh. I got Lehigh on the brain. Because our guy, Sweet Prince Connor,
is going.
He will be, he's following, he's become a groupie of the Nittany Lions for the weekend.
Yeah.
Following them on the road.
Yeah, so we should have some cool stuff from those duels.
Yeah, it'll be good to see RBY out on the mat. Connor McGonigal for Lehigh is a tough one.
Yeah, beat Mickey Philippi earlier this year.
Yeah. And where are your notes? Because I want to see, I think Ryder's got, we'll just look up our trusty friends from WrestleStat, and they will tell me right away. Richie Kohler. Yeah,
I think he had a tough Keystone. I believe he was ranked maybe low 20s, honorable mentions, and maybe took a couple losses there.
Yeah, he's won matches at NCAAs. He's qualified twice, so he's a good guy. And then sometimes they just, it's fall, right? It's November, so
yeah, take
a couple losses but bounce back. So those will be two good matches for RBY. He's not going to be able to completely ignore them. And then Iowa State, this will be interesting. We got Reading in there, Reading Railroad for Iowa State. But Ramazan, I thought it was a T-Soft. This is a whole thing that me and JD were going
JD outed you on FRL this morning, too.
This was already discussed?
Yes, this has been discussed.
This is not me making up a pronunciation. I understand when you look at Ramazan's name, it doesn't look like a T-Soft. But I've asked multiple people from Iowa State at events, hey, how you pronounce this guy's name. He's clearly got a Russian background. He's actually born in Kabardino-Balkaria, the Republic of, so in Nalchik, where guys like Guduev and Makov are from. But they all told me Atisov. Doesn't look like Atisov. Looks like Atisov.
Yeah.
Which apparently, if you go to the Iowa State website now and you click on how to pronounce, you got a guy in the background saying Ramazan Atisov.
Yeah, but it's not Ramazan saying it. That's
Correct.
So Ohio State's website, if you go to their website, they actually have
The wrestlers
saying it. So
Yeah.
Carson. We call him Karchla. He goes
Harchla.
Carson Harchla. That's how he says it.
Yeah.
But it's not Ramazan saying it. So
No.
you could still be right, and then you can come back.
Then I party on JD.
JD.
Then I make him eat dirt.
That's right.
Yeah, take that, JD.
That's right.
We'll see.
But I think your point is we're going to see either Zach Redding or Ramazan against probably Schriever. That's who Iowa's been sending out. Whereas Teskey is ranked here. So, that'll be one to watch. I feel like Redding and Atisov are like very close. Just by kind of looking at their past results. They're right in that like teen ranked.
Yeah. And for the record now, I'm going to go by Atisov.
Okay.
Until
all right, I'll try to do the same.
Until Ramazan himself says
it to you.
No, it's Atisov.
Yeah.
I am now going by that. Whoever vetted that on the
Andy
website.
Hamilton and Kyle Klingman will be.
That's their number one goal. Not talk to Dresser or Brands. Not get Spencer Lee or Swiderski. No.
Mm-mm. We need Ramazan.
Get me the pronunciation of Ramazan's name.
Yes, right. That's right.
That's the order.
Okay.
All right, 33. Let's go to 41.
41.
Maybe there'll be a few less digressions.
41 is a weight that is. I feel like it's going to be the thorn in my side the whole year.
Good song by who's that band? Pavement? No. Anyway, go ahead. Quicksand.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Well, so if you look at the top, Andrew Lears just beat Cole Matthews, but then you got Real Woods, Jacob Berglund, and number 5 and 6, Tal Shahar and Jack. They're there because they haven't lost this year. I think they started out maybe like 9 or 10, but you have guys like Alan Hart, Clay Carlson.
You just
Parker
get that
Phileas,
inertia.
Joe Zargo. They all took those losses, so they kind of slide down, and then Jack and Tal Shahar are there, and this slide up. But you look throughout. Could a guy like Tom Crook or Cornella, could they climb into the top 8? And I think the answer is yes. Could Swiderski, go into the top 4 for sure?
This weight class probably actually merits going down to the teens and the 20s and being like, okay, what do we actually have here? Where you will probably also see the most discrepancies between rankings because you can justify just about anything. Tal Shahar, by the way, unfortunately not registered for CKLV.
Yeah.
So we're not going to see him there. Bartlett, we should see. He looked pretty good at the Black Knight invite, which he won. Real Woods is listed as a probable along with Drew Bennett for Iowa State.
Yeah.
I think, unless he might be. It might just be Real Woods.
No, I think it's both of them.
Both of them. Okay. And Berglund we haven't seen a lot of either, correct?
No, and so that's the other thing. You have Carlson, who I believe he has at least one win over number 1, Alirez, from last year. And Carlson lost to Vance Vaumbar, Berglund's backup.
Second string, yeah.
And the week before that, he lost to Cale Happel. So we took the Vaumbar loss into consideration because it is a piece of data. It's a piece of evidence. Vaumbar doesn't have the best results this year, and so we did move Carlson down below Happel because he has that recent loss to him.
So Carlson, now remember, South Dakota State always shows up pretty strong to CKLV, and that is where he got all of his wins. It was Alirez, who had a tough time getting into the top of the rankings all year. Even though he's number 1 now, it was he couldn't get over that hump. He kept taking some losses, which happens. It's a long season. But Carlson beat Alirez, Phileas, and Berglund. So he beat number 1 and number 4 at last year's CKLV, and that's why it's like a real table setter. Oh, when he beat Berglund the match before that when South Dakota State dueled Minnesota. he's beaten Happel before. He beat Alirez again. Then he lost to him at the conference tournament. Beat him in the duel. Lost to Tal Shahar at NCAAs, but still All-American.
Mm-hmm.
Got the big win over Hart of Missouri, who we're still trying. We're still, where is he? Yeah, he's at number 10, and he took a loss at the Tiger-style invite.
Yep. Yep.
So, yeah, Pandemonium, here, and a guy that I hope we're going to see, Cornella.
Cornella's going to be at CKLV.
He's registered beautiful. That's what you
Ryan Jack, Cole Matten. So, I'm glad CKLV is this weekend because it really is going to help give us some more data points and some more sticky points for a lot of these guys this year, not having to go back to last season. Because last season, it's like it doesn't always feel as right,
You don't want to just leave that there and be like, well, inertia's carrying them over if they're not out on the streets.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where a CKLV does make life easier for college rankers compared to high school rankers.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is high school rankers can justifiably leave guys where they are and then wait for the big moments, the matches when they finally happen. Whereas college, you have so many results, it can be a bigger pain on the other side of things when you have all the like Carlson, like we just went through.
Mm-hmm. He's
beaten tons of good guys. He's lost to some not so great guys.
Yeah.
So that's the other side of the thing where that rarely happens in high school, where a guy is dropping matches to guys that aren't in the top of the country.
Yeah.
So there you go. I'm really looking forward to Cornell. Also, Dylan D'Amelio for Ohio State is in there instead of Decatur. I think that's going to be a battle all year long. That Decatur won the wrestle off, the public one that Ohio State put out there. They're very public about their wrestle offs, but that's not the final say.
Yeah, and Decatur's been fine this year. He did lose to Lachlan McNeil, but D'Amelio's definitely had better results last year. So we'll see D'Amelio. He's at least in the pre-seeds at CKLV, and then also Tom Crook is in the pre-seeds as well. So we'll get a little bit better picture after this weekend, hopefully. But I expect 41 to just be all over the place.
Yeah,
kind of all year.
Some weight classes are just the bane of your existence all rankings long. So it makes it so much fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's why you get paid the big bucks too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It keeps you in muffler swag.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Let's go to 149.
49.
You gotta. How long? Basically, the question is how much slack does Yanni have left? Because he's still number one, even though he took a loss. Very convincing one, even though you don't really put strength of margin of victory into consideration. This isn't like college football. Just forget those notions. You're not going to take margin of victory into account in 99.9% of every matches. It seems disingenuous to only do it for the high-profile ones. So, Yanni takes a loss to a very good All-American and now number 2, Austin Gomez, who took a loss to Pinheiro Johnson this year. And it was equally as convincing. So, again, another reason to forget those arguments. Right. How long does Yanni stay there? He's 0-1? He's winless on the year.
Right. And that was the conversation JD and I had when we were deciding on this, kind of putting it in stone. And going into it, I was like, I don't think Yanni's going to wrestle maybe for the rest of the year.
Because he's going to the World Cup.
Because he's going to the World Cup.
Which is a week after this weekend.
Not going to CKLV. How much is he going to wrestle? Will he go into January still being 0-1 and the number 1 ranked wrestler in the country? And there's a very good chance that happens. And so, maybe we'll deal with that issue when we get there. But, honestly, I haven't received much blowback from putting Yanni at number 1. And I think it is because, like you mentioned, Austin Gomez, he's 1-3.
That's one.
And then Gomez took the loss to Pinheiro earlier in the year, 2 weeks prior. So I don't know. I don't feel great about it, but I think I feel fine.
Yeah. How about, speaking of Pinheiro, him versus Murin at Cyhawk Trophy?
Yeah.
That is huge. Murin is number 6. Murin is, every year I like to look at guys going into the NCAA tournament that haven't made the podium yet, that have come the closest. Rarely do you see a guy that's a round of 12 3 times.
Is he 3 times?
3-time blood rounder. Also qualified for the 2020 tournament as a redshirt freshman.
Yeah.
So this will be his 5th trip to the NCAAs. He has been one match away 3 times. It doesn't. I mean, you talk to him, interview him. Murin is like just positive
He's a
attitude.
happy guy. Yeah.
He's all about it. He's making jokes. I think mentally it's not affecting him, but it does. I would be very happy if a George DiCamillo type of situation happened where from Virginia, right around the same weight classes. I think maybe he was 33 and then moved up to 41, if I'm not mistaken. But George DiCamillo for UVA, round of 12 3 times, then made the NCAA finals.
NCAA finals. Yeah. And Murin has the abilities, the styles to do it for sure. But yeah, the Pinheiro match is going to be really good this weekend. And then you got Sasso, Parco, Milner, and Yaya Thomas all at CKLV.
Yeah, all in the top 10.
This is one of the things where maybe it feels a little wrong too with Sasso down at the 5 because he's got wins. He's undefeated over Milner, Parco, and Yaya, but he's below Milner and Parco because he lost to Caleb Henson.
Yeah. And is Henson
is
not registered? Yeah.
Not registered for CKLV. I don't think he's going to be there.
Yeah.
Henson lost to Doug Zapf at Keystone in a, I don't know if you'd call it controversial. Henson was winning late in the third, and then there was kind of 2 stall calls that gave Zapf a point to send it into overtime. But then the overtime period, Zapf just went out there and got the takedown right away. So,
yeah. Zapf, a real tough kid. Moved down from 57. Him and Artelona switched places. Seems to be working out well for Zapf. Artelona looks fine at 57. He's as strong as anybody at that weight class. Just had that wild match with Kobe Seabrecht of Iowa where he had him in a head and arm, had him on his back. Seabrecht rolled him over. That's a precarious situation sometimes, those headlocks. And then so got pinned by Seabrecht, who was really fighting for a starting job too, not just trying to get the win in that duel. But I think Artelona will be fine. He's a veteran. But that's just, you got to take that loss into account too as we move up to get to 57. Any other thoughts on 49? It's another wild one. A guy like Yaya is a third placer and then finished off the podium the year after that. He's also a junior world teamer. I mean, like he's as dangerous as anyone on here. John Milner, 2-time All-American. Is he a top 3, a top 2 guy?
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll find out this weekend. At Keystone, man, he looks so good. He's like so long for the weight, and so he uses that defensively really well. But also on top, he's like an anaconda, just kind of like slowly wraps you up.
Sometimes guys take those next steps, and a guy, hey, App State, you maybe underestimate him, but he's proven that he's the real deal with 2 times All-American honors.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the year.
Maybe.
Okay, let's go to 57.
57. We got Quincy Monday at the top, and then at CKLV we'll have Luan, Rob, and Andonian. Luan coming off that win over Andonian at the All-Star, where really it looked like, man, Andonian didn't have many answers for him. So
I think Andonian was also coming off like a minor injury. That's what I heard. Look, everybody's banged up. It's wrestling. No one will ever make an excuse about injuries. So you're hesitant to bring it up because I don't want to make it sound like I'm making excuses for Andonian or take anything away for Luan. Yeah. But he didn't look quite as high energy as we've seen Andonian in the past, I guess.
And from what I understand, the type of injury where it's like for a guy like Andonian who's so like explosive, and it seemed to limit him in that area. So not an excuse, but Luan didn't ever look like he was in trouble losing that match, even though it was 3-1. Peyton Robb will be really interesting to watch. He really convincingly beat Ed Scott earlier this year. Which Ed Scott will be at CKLV as well, but Ed Scott just lost to Corbin Munson week and a half or so ago. And Ed Scott's a guy who, man, he's beaten Quincy Monday. He's beaten Austin O'Connor. And he's down there at the number 12, and that kind of feels a little bit a little bit weird knowing he has those wins
Mm-hmm.
in his resume over those guys. So
And Corbin Munson was a qualifier last year. He's a veteran. He's got a good resume, but this year he's taken some losses. Two at the Black Knight Invite. Tough kids. Nathan Lucas for Army and Terrell Bearclaw for Penn State. Those are guys that could definitely qualify. Would actually kind of expect it. But it's also not someone you expect to beat a guy who is podium material and like Ed Scott.
Right.
I mean, he was so close. We're round of 12, right? And had that real crazy match.
Yeah, and this is a weird weight. It's similar to 141, but 141 kind of has that injection of like fresh blood, right? Like new freshmen who are in there, new guys into the weight, unproven guys. 57 has a lot of guys who have proven themselves, but never like all that consistently. Like they've had matches or a string of matches or a tournament where they're like, man, this guy could win a title. So you got a guy like Brayton Lee at number 5, and Austin O'Connor, number 7, who won it
Actually,
at 140.
literally
won it, yeah. and so it's just a different weight where nobody has really separated themselves from the rest of the pack in a very like convincing way. Yeah, even Josh Humphreys, down. I think he's had wins over Quincy Monday in the past. So
yeah, Humphreys is a guy. A lot of hopes in the Lehigh camp on Humphreys. He's never had that. Never finished on the podium, but like you said, 99% sure he's got a win over Monday because he lost. He didn't get a chance to wrestle him at EIWAs because he got a defensive fall against Cerniglia.
Yeah,
Cerniglia beat him of Navy, I think, in the semis, and then. Monday makes the finals, and Humphreys finishes, I think, round of 12. So,
Humphreys is 3-2 career against Monday.
Against Quincy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like it's a win would have been a sure thing, no matter what the record was. But yeah, he's right in that mix, just never broken through. Guy like Jacob Wright for Wyoming at number 9. Really, hopefully we get to see more of him, and then Caden Gefeller. What's gonna happen with Gefeller?
Yeah,
is it gonna be a situation like with Wyatt Sheets or Joseph Smith, where they wrestle at a different weight class for most of the year, get down for
Big
conference,
12s,
Big 12s, and then end up with a very difficult seed?
Yeah,
I mean, Sheets showed you could still All-American from 33, right? The 33 seed, but Caden can definitely get down to 49, and John Smith was very honest about the fact that he didn't, he had a kid, he was starting a family,
right.
Didn't know if he was coming back. When he decided to come back, he's not at the weight, his weight's not good.
Yeah.
So he'll get down, he'll be dangerous at 49, but is that the best thing going into the tournament?
I don't know.
It's gonna be tough.
Because they got Voinovich down at 49, who looks to be just fine. And then
Sheets is up at 65.
Sheets is up at 65, and so it almost feels like this is their best lineup. This is the lineup they should stick with. It sounded like originally John Smith was like, no, we're not doing that. And then he kind of walked it back, I think maybe last week or so.
Right. We'll see. Every coach, John Smith is not immune. You learn more about the guys as the season goes on.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
He could be 100% adamant, this is what we're going to do. And then you learn new stuff. Injuries, guys practice different or they look different.
Yeah.
When you do what you're supposed to do when you're a good coach is you change your opinion when new information is brought to you.
Yeah.
So
we'll see.
If they continue to look good, I would hope for all of their sakes that they stay at these weights.
Yeah.
And then they get good seeds at both Big 12s and the NCAAs.
And make our lives easier as rankers.
Yes.
Right?
Because think of the rankers, please.
Yeah.
I'll send a message. Yeah.
Think of us. Yeah. Yeah, we don't want to untangle that knot if you guys drop at the end of the year.
Yeah, but you may have to.
Yeah.
Part of the gig. Shall we? 65.
Let's do it.
This is your guy, Carson Hartzlaw.
Yeah. Yeah.
He'll be at CKLV, and he is number 6 behind Hamidi.
Yeah, there's not as much heat in this weight comparatively to the others at CKLV. You got Julian Ramirez there, Ogun Sanya, trying to think who else.
Uncle
Negron,
Tony.
Uncle Tony Jr.
Tony Negron. Arizona State. He's a guy that, you fight for your life to get into that Penn State lineup just because it's Penn State. And then, maybe he needed a new weight class. Maybe he needed a little change of scenery, and he could be a dangerous guy there.
Yeah. And then Tanner Cook as well, who's just so fun to watch. He's gonna try to pin you every second.
He's a pinner with like 80% of his wins are pins or something like that.
So CKLV will be pretty good, but I'm interested. David Carr, Patrick Kennedy coming up this weekend. That should be be a lot of fun.
Patrick Kennedy put a ton of points up. He didn't wrestle every match at Journeyman. I think he only wrestled one. They Iowa wrestled Buffalo and Sacred Heart, and then before that Army. And I know against a tough, all the Army guys are tough. He put up like 20 points and looked like he could score for days.
Yeah, he's 4-0 this year. 14, 24, 22, and 20 points in his 4 matches. He is just
scoreboard operators. Get your fingers ready.
Yeah, but you don't feel like that's going to happen against David Carr, but you never know.
Yeah, two good Ivy guys, Ramirez and Ogunsanya that you mentioned. Really feel like Ogunsanya's got sky high potential. His brother PJ wrestled at Army.
Yeah, and
he was a home run hitter. Caught a bunch of guys and cement mixers, all sorts of fun moves.
Yeah, and then
one guy I hope we get to see soon is Cam Amin.
Yeah, he's not gonna. Doesn't look like he's gonna be at CKLV. So hopefully we see him, early in the new year, or I don't know if Michigan's going to Midlands or any other holiday tournaments at all.
I don't think so. I think they put everything in CKLV, or not everything, but they almost every team has one of those big tournaments from CKLV to Southern Scuffle.
Yeah. So yeah, we might not see him till after the new year. Just probably dealing with a little bit of injuries.
Yeah, but he won't be the only guy that does that. We mentioned all the guys at 125. Keegan O'Toole, I think, is an interesting guy for the Hodge Watch. That's another ranking that we need to come out with a new one. He won Tiger Style Invite against, not the absolute toughest guys, but Bronigal of Illinois and Barzak of Drexel. And he would get pins in the most, not lackadaisical, but the setup. All right, time's really ticking out. Here's the cradle, here's the pin. And you talk to him after the tournament, and you talk to Coach Smith, Brian Smith, and they all say the same thing of, they both did, that it wasn't his best. It wasn't happy with it. And he is going out there winning a tournament against ranked guys and getting pins. And then the way he beat DJ Hamidi, who's number 5 for Wisconsin, it wasn't like an absolute dismantling, right? But it was
convincing.
You could see it on Hamidi's face. He's like, nothing's working. And it's very frustrating. And I could see O'Toole frustrate everybody in here. Of course, you have 2 national champs that are not, nothing is set in stone here. Nothing is guaranteed. But if O'Toole runs the table at a weight class with 2 other national champs and goes back to back, even though there's Spencer Lee, even though there's Johnny, maybe he's the guy.
Yeah, he could be. And it's funny to say, you talk to him at Tiger Style or whatever and say, oh, not my best. I remember talking to him last year at Southern Scuffle. I think he bonuses his way through the tournament. Like, hey, how do you rate your performance? He's like, I don't know. He's like, maybe a B-.
Yeah.
And he's like, no disrespect to my opponents, but he's like, I just, expect more from myself. So
yeah, he's a very humble kid, so no disrespect, but man, you hear that as an opponent and you're still just like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, you got to, you didn't wrestle well? Great.
But I think it shows you his mindset is like, he's going into every match being like, all right, I want to dominate. I'm going to put bonus points in every single match.
Also won a U20 gold medal. Was the same type of thing. I think he was a little more pleased with how he wrestled in Ufa, Russia.
Yeah.
In 2021, but yeah, the mindset is what you need, and he's also got the physical tools and talents, and he's put in the time, and yeah, just the deadliest of wrestlers from any position. You can't feel safe. Want to move up?
Yeah, let's move up to 74. We got...
This is the top 2 guys. Is
Starachi, Mackay. Top 2 seem super firm. However, this weekend we're going to see Lewis Labriola.
Yeah.
They're the top seeds at CKLV. Hopefully, we'll see them wrestle in the finals. We do have Demetrius Romero there and Ethan Smith, who are two really tough guys, and I'm glad we're going to see them against some other top level guys too, because haven't seen much of Demetrius Romero. I believe he took an injury, medical red shirt last year.
8th or maybe 9th year.
Yeah, I think it's year number 8 for him. So Romero's the number 3 seed. Ethan Smith is the number 4. Ethan Smith, he took a weird loss to Lennox Wolak. He got Wolaked.
It happens.
It happens, and I think Wolak is a solid guy. But Wolak's down in the honorable mentions. He's from Colombia.
Mm-hmm.
But then, the next match for Ethan Smith, he goes out and beats All-American Clay Lout. So he holds his spot in the rankings because of that. And we'll see Smith at CKLV. He's the 4 seed. He's already wrestled Mekhi Lewis this year. He had a really close loss to him. He seems to wrestle Mekhi really tough. So that'll be a good semifinal match potential to watch. But yeah, you feel pretty good about seeing Mekhi and Labriola, and they've never wrestled in college. And if Mekhi wins that match convincingly, then you feel like the finals rematch again between Starace and Lewis is kind of imminent.
Yeah, the guys at the top, that's one of the deepest weight classes at CKLV. So a lot of your work will be done for you there. I also like Phil Canigliaro. He took a loss early this year, but it wasn't one of those where like you're sweating it. It was like maybe not the greatest match management. I remember watching it, but it's like, all right, he didn't need to give up that point, and then you let your opponent back in or something like that. But anyway, no.
Yeah, he lost to Darian Roberts, who is solid. He had a weekend where like he wrestled like 6 or 7 matches.
Oklahoma's gotten their matches, yeah, and Roberts not that I was shocked that he beat Canigliaro, but I thought that was one that you don't sweat too much as the harder guys.
Yeah. So yeah, Canigliaro would be good to see because he wasn't at Keystone, and so we didn't get to see him there, and coming off that Roberts loss. But
yeah, also want to bring it back to Demetrius Romero a little bit more. He wrestled 2 years at Boise State. That program hasn't been around for a few years, unfortunately, because of the cowardly acts of the former president, Bob Kustra. Bob Kustra is not a good person. I would not trust him with anything. He wanted to start a baseball program at Boise State. And
do they have a baseball program?
Oh, guess what? They didn't even last 1 year. And then when COVID showed up, they're like, all right, now's a good excuse to cancel this idiot's stupid idea of a program in the middle of the mountains where baseball season is played under snow there. And they don't even have their own baseball stadium. They got no equipment. They got no history of baseball. And they got a great wrestling team with all these good people in it. And it's like, all right, well, we'll just get rid of the wrestling team. Hate him. Could go on a long rant. Bob Kustra, you're a bad guy. I hope bad things happen to you.
Yeah, he's
not
a coward.
Not that I hold a grudge.
Demetrius Romero, not a coward.
No.
He is an awesome wrestler.
I love looking at his WrestleStat profile because it brings you all these like blasts from the past. His redshirt year, he wrestled Isaiah Martinez at the Reno Tournament of Champions.
Was that 2016?
2016. Yeah. Isaiah's now, been to Final X. He's got kids. He's coaching in Illinois.
Yeah. He was coaching at Oregon State. Yeah, he's been 2 different coaching
around,
spots.
Yeah, and then you look at his freshman year where he almost qualified, and you got guys like Kalen Torres of Northern Colorado.
Wow.
Yeah, great guy. Dylan Lighty, he likes the Pitey. Luke Zilverberg, South Dakota State. Anyway, he had a great battle with Logan Massa. On the front side, Logan beat him like pretty good. And then
teched him.
Yeah. And then you go on the backside and they have like a 10, 12 minute whatever match that goes to regulation, and Massa loses by a hair.
Yeah.
So yeah, just absolute beast. He's 2-0 on the year already, so
yeah.
Happy to see him back on the mat, and you hear guys be like, "Oh, that guy's grandpa. He's been wrestling for forever." You only get so many shots at NCAA glory, so let him wrestle.
Yep, respect the grandpas.
Yeah, no big deal. Yeah. Plus, maybe we're just that old where They all still seem like babies to us.
That's right.
All right, let's go to 84.
84. We saw Aaron Brooks look so impressive at the All-Star. Just really, really kind of separate himself. Not that, he's already a 2-time defending national champion. Not that he wasn't already the best, but
Right.
the way that he beat Parker Keckeisen was really impressive. And so he's, firmly number one. And then you got Keckeisen and Hidley pretty, 2-3. Keckeisen beat Hidley last year in the Conci semis. They're both going to be at CKLV along with Trey Munoz, Jonathan Lowe, Hunter Bolin, and Matt Feinsilver. So you have, 6 or 7 of the top of the guys ranked in the top 10.
And you said Romero, right?
And Caleb Romero.
Or you did say.
I might not have even said him.
2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10.
Yeah, that's awesome. So CKLV is going to be fire at this weight, and also could produce could produce changes in the top 10.
It's almost guaranteed that someone who All-Americans later doesn't make the podium at CKLV.
Yes,
almost guaranteed.
Yeah, and so I think you feel pretty good about Keckeisen and Hidley making the finals, but man, you never know with a guy like Romero or Munoz or Bolin.
Brooks is another guy that could easily win the Hodge.
Yeah,
if he just goes out and blitzes the entire field. This is an interesting weight class. There's a guy I think everybody needs to pay attention to. Brian Soldano. Rutgers is down at 16, but could he move up through? Oh, Travis Whitlake, another Oklahoma State movement.
Yep.
He went up a couple weight classes. Yeah. Plot stays at 74. Whitlake jumps in both. That makes all the sense in the world because 65 was just way too small for a dude that big. And Adam Kemp, who we're not going to see at CKLV, another guy with sky high potential.
Yeah, I think he's up from 74 last year.
They do the bulking in St. Louis Obispo.
Yeah, Soldano, he's 7-1 on the year. All of his wins are bonus points, and his recent loss was a 5-3-1 to Trey Munoz. And so you look at a guy who's a true freshman. Almost reminds you a little bit of Hamity last year.
Yeah.
Right. Kind of comes out and just is like, bonus.
Fearless.
Yeah, fearless, putting up big bonus points, and then has a really close loss to Trey Munoz, who we think obviously he's number 6 in the country. We think really highly of him, and is an All-American threat. Kind of one of the guys where we were surprised last year with Oregon State getting, what did they get, 5 All-Americans, and he wasn't.
I think it was 4, but
4 All-Americans, and he wasn't one of them. So
he was around at 12, and a lot. Their seniors did really well. I'm gonna mess their names up, so I won't try to remember. But yeah, they did awesomely.
Yeah.
The Willits brothers were 2 of them. Anyway, what else was it? Will Feldkamp from Clarion. I don't think he got a pre-seed, but I'm guessing it's because he may have been listed as William, and he's Will in a lot of the other things, and sometimes they don't match up. But anyway, I expect him to get a seed by the time everything comes out, because there's other guys in there that we have him 16. 4 guys got seeds that he should definitely have a seed above.
Right.
So we'll see when that happens. But Clarion, those PSAC schools, Edinburgh, Clarion, Lock Haven, and Bloomsburg, just tough programs. I mean, there's just so many good wrestlers all in Pennsylvania. They're all Pennsylvania state schools. And he could make some noise there.
Yep.
Let's keep it rolling. We're the digressions keep coming. We got at least 2 more weight classes.
Yeah, 197.
Max Dean is going to have an interesting weekend. He's got Beard, former Penn State wrestler, now at Lehigh. And then Ethan Laird of Ryder is number 16. So 2 ranked wrestlers, Beard at 8, Laird at 16. But Dean also did look like an absolute killer. He was the only national champ. There was about 6 starters for Penn State at the Black Knight Invite. 3 of their starters were at the All-Star Classic.
Yeah.
Dean Probably could have gone to the All-Star Classic. I'm not sure how all that worked out. But he was just absolutely torturing people, and then got that awesome. When you win the Black Knight invite, you get like a flak jacket, your own custom flak jacket, and it's got the Velcro stuff where I don't know. Normally your name goes, and it says 197-pound champion. And then he was also voted OW.
Okay.
And he gets like a tactical helmet,
Oh.
like a Kevlar helmet.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So he's ready for battle now.
He's
get
ready
that.
for battle.
You get the Clarion Open. You get a big sword. Oh no, you get the helmet, or you get a different helmet. What Edinburgh gives you a sword?
Edinburgh gives you a sword.
Mm-hmm.
So then actually you get to use, if you win one of those, you get to use them the rest of the season.
Yeah.
In
the match, you
matches.
can be like, timeout, hold on. Yeah. Or you get a journeyman hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hammer awards, and then now you slice your.
So you
opponent
get your jacket on, you get your helmet, you get your hammer, shield, then you get your sword. You're good to go.
Ready for
ready
to go storm the castle.
Yeah, that would be something. But Max Dean, Michael Beard. I think that's the match you circle. You gotta believe super familiar with one another, so they're gonna have a close match. Even though Michael Beard lost to Bonacorsi, last week, I think you still give Beard a chance against Max Dean, right?
Yeah, Bonacorsi's a finalist. I mean, 97 went from kind of a iffy weight class,
a place
for
where
lot of
84-pounders go to All-American.
Yeah, to a place where, man, there are some really awesome wrestlers and a lot of unknowns.
Yeah.
One unknown is what will happen with Stephen Buchanan entering the portal.
Yeah, he's going to be out of the rankings next week.
Yeah, he doesn't plan on wrestling this season, or are we just assuming, or just waiting?
Yeah, I think just assuming. Also, I think it feels wrong to have him. He's in the portal.
Yeah.
But then to have him in the rankings. So, I mean, what would we do with his school listing? You put transfer portal. But yeah,
he goes to portal U.
He goes to portal U. So I think he's coming out. But to your point, where 97 is really really good. You got Braunagel, who beat Hoffman. Braunagel's number 11, who beat Hoffman at MSU Open. Hoffman returning 6th place. They're down at 11 and 12.
Mm-hmm.
Trumbull, has that win over Jackson Smith. He moves up to number 9. But then, down below, you got Cam Caffey, who beat Max Dean.
Your 14 through 18
are
all. Tanner Sloan just got a U23 silver medal at 97 kilos, which is like 215, 220 almost.
So, yeah, you feel like all those guys could easily be up in the top 8, whether it's Caffey, Laird, Norfleet, Sloan. Allred beat Bastida.
Lou Dupre, he had a great CKLV in the past.
Yeah.
He's Binghamton always is at CKLV, which must be a good story. I'll tell you at the end of the show.
Yeah, well, yeah. So you feel, I feel really good about Max Dean, Rocky Elam, Jacob Warner.
Speaking of Warner, Cyhawk. 3 versus 6. And so we were trying to figure out what was the most exciting matchup or the most important for this duel. It's like kind of two different questions. So JD said Swiderski, Real Woods.
Yeah,
will be the most for the rankers, the most important, because where's Swiderski? What's his level? If he beats Woods, there he goes. If Woods handles him, Woods is the real deal, and Swiderski still also the real deal, but Real Woods. Sorry for the pun, but Woods is like, okay, he's back, he's healthy or whatever. If it's close, more mystery, but they're both obviously good. For the most important for the match, I would imagine this would be. Bastida's shown he can do it, but now we're in Carver, and Warner after losing to Elam, that's a little extra.
Did not look great against Urbis, right?
Oh yeah, had to come. Or what was that second period with the turns?
I think he's up 8-1, then gets turned down 9-8 going into the third. Wow.
Yeah, but Warner likes to keep things fun.
Yeah, of course.
Warner is a fun he's one of the guys that makes 97 so much fun. Maybe gives you a heart attack if you're a Hawkeye fan, but for us objective and impartial journalists, huge fan.
Yeah.
Elam's awesome. Unfortunately, no Bernie at CKLV.
Yeah, that's a bummer. I wanted to see him. Want to see him there. 97. I think Trumbull is in the weight as well. Gavin Hoffman. Trying to think who else might be in that field.
At 84.
Or 97.
Or yeah, 97. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
Oregon State's got Tanner Harvey.
Tanner
Transfer from American. He's tough. Nebraska, Silas All Red. Guys with red in their name do very well at Nebraska. Chad Red, for example. And then you have a bunch of honorable mentions. Trey Rogers, Hofstra, Evan Bachman, Utah Valley, Andy Smith, Virginia Tech, and Jacob Koser of Navy.
Okay. Yeah, so it'll be fun, but not the top tier.
Yeah.
At the weight. So
T Rums,
NC
NC State. That guy's got some length.
Yep.
And he has already been commissioned in the Army. He's ROTC. He wrestled G.I. Yellow in February of UVA. And he gets his commission right there in, what's the name of it? Reynolds.
Yeah. All right, heavyweight.
Let's do heavyweight.
Are we doing it?
We're really doing it now.
Okay.
This one at CKLV is...
Yeah, it's
the only
awesome.
guy you're missing is Kirkbliet.
Yeah.
And he just went out and beat Cassiope. Who's the other guy that you're missing, I guess?
Yeah, the only guy you're missing. Yeah.
But we just saw them at the All-Star Classic. Kirkbliet finally got the Cassiope monkey off his back.
It's a big monkey.
0-3. Yeah. Kirkbliet looked like what I think a lot of Penn State fans were really expecting him to look like.
Yeah.
And, you lose some ACLs or whatever, you get injured. That, again, no one ever makes excuses. No one is gonna. But you have to think, and I think, Penn State fans are pretty vocal about saying, yeah, without those injuries, this is the real Kirkbliet that we all knew was, a world teamer right there with Gable Steveson in high school, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, and gets that win. And the big thing at CKLV, you got Colton Schultz, Mason Paris, Big Slavakuski, Lucas Davison, Tate Orndorff, and then Wyatt Hendrickson. And those guys are all there. So
that's awesome. In the upper weight preview I did, Slavakuski is who I'm keying in on. He missed all last year because of injuries after going 4-0 at CKLV. He got injured wrestling Gas Tank Gary in the finals.
He beat Davison, right?
Beat Davison and Orndorff.
Yeah.
So he beat 2 All-Americans. And I think another guy who did an All-American is tough. And then the year before that, can't wrestle because of Ivies. The year before that, as a true freshman at Harvard, he qualifies for the NCAA, and then no tournament, but he was seeded 10th and ranked 8th.
Yeah.
So Big Slav has been snake bitten by all sorts of ridiculous circumstances. It's his senior year at Harvard. He's already in the transfer portal, but that's because he's looking for a graduate program and wants to make sure he gets that taken care of because he's originally from Belarus, which he may not want to go back there anytime soon.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother topic digression. But Big Slav can hang in there with the All-Americans. Is he
that next tier up?
Schultz, Paris, and then you're missing Kirkbliet, Cassiope, but Schultz and Paris are right there.
Yeah. And so, Slavakuski, looking at the seeds, he's the 3, Wyatt Hendrickson the 6. Like that's a match that feels like a round of 12. Or like a quarterfinal match, maybe at the NCAA tournament, where, could be, maybe not quarterfinal, but like a round of 12 match for sure.
If both of those guys All-American, I will be the least shocked person.
Yeah.
Around.
Yeah. So they'll meet in the quarters likely at CKLV, and then, last year Mason Paris lost to Colton Schultz in the quarterfinals at the NCAA tournament. Schultz would go on, make the finals. Mason Paris would go on and take 5th. So this could be a revenge match for Mason Paris, or it could be validation for Colton Schultz. If Colton Schultz wins CKLV, I don't think Arizona State wrestles Penn State or Iowa. So Colton Schultz basically earns the number 1 seed if he wins.
And that heavyweight is... You do get some upsets. You get a Del Garbino over Cassiope, which we saw last year. But Schultz, how do you upset a guy like that?
Yeah, his style.
Jordan Wood had him dead to rights in this sudden crazy tiebreakers or something. It was, he was going to lose on tiebreakers, so he needed a takedown with 10 seconds left. Picked Colton Schultz up in the air. Colton Schultz had the head pinch, and then as they came to the match, he rolled him over and then.
Through.
And then
one of the moments of the tournament for sure.
I went on record by saying it was the most exhilarating overtime finish for any NCAA heavyweight semifinal ever.
Yeah. Prove him wrong.
Prove me wrong.
Prove him wrong.
Find me a more exhilarating one.
You won't.
Yeah, and then there's more at the CKLV that is going to be like guys are barely going to make it to the second day of this tournament.
Yeah. Luis Fernandez, AJ Neville's.
Grady Grease, do not sleep on this Navy dude. There's a Katka. Not Hunter.
Ryan?
Yeah, I think. Sorry, apologies to the Katka family who could all destroy us. They're all enormous.
Please don't.
Yes. But just to make that starting Navy squad, he's got to wrestle a tough dude. Owen Treffin in NC State is very deep at heavyweight, so another great weight class, certainly at CKLV. And every year I feel like we go through the whole, these aren't your father's heavyweights, these aren't your grandpa's heavyweights, and it's like every year when you get to the top of the NCAAs, there's heavyweights that don't move. Like everyone just has like high school heavyweight on their brain, but there are none of those heavyweights exist in college.
Yeah.
Jerron Smith, you'll love to see that from Maryland. Got a shout out to my Terps. He's 15th. This is a guy in his 6th year at Maryland. Yeah, he went through some tough years at Maryland,
and he's coming up from 97 too. Yeah. So, and he's having a good year. I believe he beat Niesenbaum earlier this year. I think that's kind of his sticking point there. Who Niesenbaum just had a really good Keystone. He beat Katka. I think also beat Ben Golden from Penn as well. Which, man, Katka and Golden, just like you said, not your grandfather's heavy. This giant human being, so athletic.
Yeah.
The way that they move for like 250 pounders is pretty incredible.
And I haven't been paying enough attention, but Sam Schuyler for Iowa State's number 10.
Schuyler's number 10. Yeah, he beat Hilger.
Schuyler Cassiope.
Yeah.
Another big one for the Cyhawk. I didn't realize he was number 10.
And last year, I believe Cassiope stalled him out.
Yes.
Of the match. So.
Yep, DQ'd him.
Gonna want to avoid that this year, Sam. But
you're gonna want to avoid that literally every match you ever wrestle.
Yeah.
And that goes to everyone else out there.
Yeah.
All right. So good, thorough breakdown, Jonathan.
We did it.
Your first year on the job, first month in the books.
It's been so much fun.
Yeah. And because we started a little late, I know we're running over here, but let's do a little World Cup date.
World Cup date?
We'll do a little World Cup date.
Okay.
Oh, and then the CKLV story. I got to tell you guys.
All right. You want to do World Cup date first?
Yeah, do the World Cup date. It's coming up a week after next. I don't know how much time we're going to have to talk about it on a, world. If FRL, we'll talk about it, but college is just so consuming. And you've been doing the international rankings far longer than you've been doing the college rankings.
Yeah. Going on 3 years now. It was 3 years ago you asked me to do that.
Oh, was
almost to the date?
That was literally it. It was
It was December, I believe.
You kept telling me how wrong the rankings were.
I think I may have messaged you once or twice, but
that was it. That's all
it took.
2 messages, and then next thing you know, you're like, all right, moving the family to Texas.
You got the job, but I was incredibly polite, so that was what.
That was it. I knew your politeness was going to make you a good fit too.
But no, World Cup, it's going to be awesome. It's a little disappointing that United States and Iran aren't sending their number ones. However, each of them are. It's like team 1.5 because they both have about half of their.
When you say they're not sending their number ones, they're not sending all of their number ones.
All of their number ones.
But you know, there's always injuries or whatever, and then you don't know who's going to make the team.
Yeah.
When the next World Championships. But
yeah,
there are a good number of guys that were in Serbia at the World Championships.
Yeah, and so Tyler has Iran's team on the board. Those rankings are world rankings, and so to be in the top 20 of the world rankings, pretty significant because you have multiple countries, in there, or multiple reps from one country. So Russia can have, 4, 5, 6 reps. If
you're in the top
there.
20, you're a medal threat.
Yes,
because Russia will have 5 to 10 guys in every weight class.
Yeah, so you see Iran. They have on their World Cup roster world champion Rahman Amuzad, world silver medalist Amir Yazdani.
Baby Yaz.
Firazpour at 74, I believe. Oh, yeah, he's U23 world champion. That's also on the screen. Nakodi as
Got beat by
two-time.
Burroughs twice.
Yeah, twice in a row. But Savitkoui just beat Nakoti and also just beat Sidakov and an Iranian league. So he's really good. Savitkoui was 30 seconds away from beating Jordan Burroughs, and then he decided to pull his singlet as Burroughs was trying to score. So gave up a point there. You got Karimi, multiple-time world medalist, not Yazdani, and then.
But Karimi is would be a multiple-time medal, or
yeah.
He's not a big drop down from Yazdani. You just have Yazdani the greatest in your way.
Yeah, Yazdani and Karimi just wrestled at Iranian league, and Yazdani won 7-4 over Karimi. So
for the 12th time. I think.
Yes, yeah. Firazpour is the next young guy coming up for Iran.
They got 2 Firazpours.
Yeah, big Firazpour, and then Ghassanpour is registered at 97. However, Iranian news sources are saying he's going to wrestle 92. So we'll see what they choose to do.
That was confirmed. I just talked to USA Wrestling about the rosters very briefly. Didn't get many insights. Basically, just asked, is there anything about the visa process that you could say that would prepare us for something happening and somebody pulling out? And the answer was everything looks good so far. They were a little concerned about Mongolia, not that they would be not given visas, but just that it's tough to get them to hit deadlines and do paperwork.
Okay.
No offense to any Mongolians. I don't want them to show up here stripped down nude and then try to fight me
right here
in the studio. But so not to guarantee anything. I have no ability to affect how any of this happens, but it looks good that we're going to see all these guys.
Yeah, and then heavyweight. If you haven't watched Amireza Masumi, he is he's 18 years old, won U17s last year, and then both U20 and U23s this year.
Mm-hmm.
He is kind of the next big thing, but Zare's in his way.
Who's also very young.
Who's also only 21, 22.
Yeah. Now you have this teenager who is enormous. I mean, Zare is on the lighter side of heavies. Masumi is on the larger size of heavies. And his father, Fardeen, is an Olympian. Did he medal? I know he's a world medalist.
Yeah.
I think he's a 2-time world medalist and an Olympian. Runs in the family, and he's got some flair. Zare's got a lot of emotion after he wins, a lot of celebrations. Masumi is right there with him. He's a fiery guy.
Yeah. Masumi, he looks like he's going to be the real deal on the senior level. He's already had some really good wins. For Americans' perspective, he tech-falled Nick Feldman, and then Masumi tech-falled a wrestler who tech-falled Cassiope.
Yeah.
So
when he goes up against a guy like Nick Feldman or anyone else that's not a full-size heavy, he knows how to use his weight, and it's a terrifying prospect because you can see it on guys like Nick, who is a fearless dude, who went right there and did everything he could, and he just gets marched off the mat.
He's like, what do I do?
What are you supposed to do?
No answers. So Iran's team, in my opinion, is going to be the team to beat at the World Cup. They're going to be in the opposite pool from USA, though.
Yeah, let's pull up the USA real quick, and we won't deep dive them because we all know them pretty well, but some starters are going to be in there. Seth Gross, who was so close to scoring getting a medal in Serbia. Yanni, who is a silver medalist. He will be there. That's why he's not at CKLV and some other stuff. Jordan Burroughs, the great
champion.
Great champion. I'm trying to remember the medals offhand, but it's 7 and 10.
So 6 world gold,
1 Olympic.
1 Olympic.
So 7 gold, and then he's
3
got
world bronze.
Yeah, so 7 and 10.
7 and 10, yeah.
And then Kyle Snyder at 97, who he'll be the favorite to win every match. The only guy that can hang with him is Sadalayev, who won't be there. He's got, 4 gold, including 1 Olympic. And maybe 4 others. I think he's got 8.
3 silvers and a bronze.
Yeah.
I think that's right.
So 4 and 7, we got 11 gold and 18 world and Olympic medals combined between just 2 guys on Team America. That is a decade's worth of production from Team USA in a good decade.
Yeah. Yeah.
Until this golden age that we are now living in.
Yeah, there you see those are the guys who are ranked in Team USA's roster. We also have a few backups in there.
Backups to these guys.
To these guys
right.
at various weights.
A lot of these guys are like number twos, but this is an exciting time for a Chance Marsteller if he gets some matches.
Zahid Valencia to prove himself. Yeah.
And Nate Jackson are going to be right in there. There's no Jaden because he's moving up to 97. I think he's been as emphatic as anybody. Yeah. And then Zilmer and Gwiz are both, neck and neck. Anyone who starts there. Should be a lot of fun. And Jason Dolph, now he's got Dake at the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club, and that should be fun.
Yeah, really good. Really good opportunity for we have half of the United States World Team there, but really good opportunity, like you said, for those guys who maybe haven't been the number ones to have that shot and to wrestle world medalists. We don't always get to see that, and so it'll be a lot of fun. I think the atmosphere is going to be really cool. Just to have this feature in the United States, and we have international wrestling at normal hours of the day.
That's huge.
Yeah, normally we're trying to wake up at 3 a.m. or stay up late, and it's really hard for eyes to be on the best wrestling in the world.
Yeah. I really hope a lot of college fans tune in because it is a very exciting style of wrestling. It's a lot of fun. Don't be afraid of freestyle. It's just more wrestling. It's the guys that you know. It's all these guys there.
You gonna tell your story now?
Yeah, let's skip. The World All Stars have a team that are I just want to mention that they're
good.
They're up there with Iran and the USA. They're in a different group though. We have Mongolia and Georgia, who will have, it looks like, a handful, three or four ranked guys between them. USA will be the favorite, but you can't sleepwalk that through those teams, especially Georgia.
Georgia's the one. Yeah.
They're bringing Geno. That's like a win. But Tyler, we don't have to put up there. Talking to our producer Tyler, who we should also say, Tyler, thank you for like 100 episodes or something.
For your service.
#1.
Yeah.
For your service, because it's like going to war with us. All right, so CKLV is coming up.
Yep.
My first CKLV 2017. We're not going because we'll be in Iowa for the World Cup
next week. Yep.
We just provided a cup date of. But so 2017, I'm working the CKLV. It's for the 2018 season. It's my first CKLV. It's my first, full season because I really started for the St. Louis NCAAs in 2017. So I'm sitting there, and I think it's the start of day 2, and I'm settling in to call some matches. I'm trying to be as professional as possible. I'm still a little nervous, very green, and some guy starts like kind of trying to get my attention, tapping my shoulder, and I'm just like, no, get out of my face here. I got the microphone here. I got the mats in front of me, and it's like, what do you want? And then finally, he goes, did you write the article about the team prospects, team scores? And it's like, what? Yeah, probably, I think. Can I help you? And he goes, well, you said Binghamton's not going to do very well, but we're doing very well. But Binghamton's in like the top 5 right now, and you didn't even pick them to finish in the top 10. They go, I didn't pick them. It was based on pre-seeds, and you're Billy Baldwin. And I go, I don't even think I say Mr. Baldwin or anything goofy like that, but it was just it was not a quick double take. It was, all right, now I'm talking to Billy Baldwin who's criticizing an article that I didn't even put any editorial into. I just ran the numbers based on the pre-seeds.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to call a match 5 seconds later, like they're about to blow the first whistle, and so I just go, yeah, well, you're right. I'm being proven wrong. Very, very good stuff for the Bearcats. And then he goes, well, what are you going to do about it? And it was this like terrifying, like, what do you want me to do? I got to call these matches. And I think I tell him I'm going to write a article about how they do or something. And he's just like, all right, cool. But he was like around the building. He's an alumni. I think class of '85. Just looked it up. But he's always been a big supporter. He's been on some ESPN telecasts of the NCAA tournament, and just a really funny guy. And I guess he had gone up to just Travis Peter, a guy that was working production at the time. He's still at Flow, and he just had the article, like, I don't know, in his hand or something. He's like, asking all these people, like, who did this? Like, I want answers. And Travis was just like, yeah, you want that guy.
That guy right there.
There's Spey.
Yeah, go get him.
And he sicked Billy Baldwin on me.
Yeah.
And I had to explain what I was going to do about an article that I had very little input on.
What are you going to do about this?
What are you going to do about this?
Yeah. It's like a bad dream.
Yeah, Billy Baldwin was haunting me. He was haunting me, and he was stalking me.
Yeah.
But it's all good. So that was probably maybe the most famous person I ever had, like more than a meet and greet or take a picture with me. It was like an actual. He demanded answers.
Mm-hmm.
Any famous people, wrestling world or otherwise, that you've had
A run-in with?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Not yet. I don't know if I'm confrontational enough. If I have.
Neither was I. It was Billy that was all up in my business.
Maybe this year because I'm doing the rankings more. I'll get it. And doing more previews and stuff and making predictions. But I don't think yet. I don't think I have. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to my first Billy Baldwin moment.
Yeah, and he's also, I mean, you could say, like, okay, John Smith, Jordan Burroughs, like Cale Sanderson, whatever, but, that we're professionals.
Right.
Can't fanboy out on that. Billy Baldwin, but yeah, Backdraft, great movie.
Yeah.
Sliver was awesome in that, too.
Yeah.
All right. I think we should call it an end. We'll let Tyler. We only went a little bit late there, and we had a lot of good stuff to talk about. And John, been in the Rankers Guild, and now at the table here at Who's Number One.
On the table.
Many more times we'll see in the future. Tyler, this is his swan song. Although we may see him again, he'll fill in or whatever. But this is last regular season, Who's Number One. So thank a producer, thank all the people behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
We got the easy job, they have the tough one. So
yeah,
thank you, Tyler.
Never a goodbye, Tyler. It's just we'll see you later.
That's right. And we'll see all you guys later. CKLV coming up. We'll have more Who's Number One next week. And that's all for now. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.